So it is time. We would like to begin today's briefing session for the Consolidated Business Results FY2019 second quarter for ZOZO Inc. As we mentioned before, please refrain from taking any photos or videos during this session. And please refrain from utilizing any recordings without prior consent. Now, if we could introduce today's participants. President and CEO, Kotaro Sawada. Executive Vice President and CFO, Koji Yanagisawa. Executive Officer and COO, Masahiro Ito. And Executive Officer and GM of Business, General Manager of Business Administration Division, Fumihiro Hirose. We will have 4 presenters today. We are going to be finishing at 6 p.m. today. CFO, Mr. Yanagisawa, will now take the floor. Good evening. I would like to jump right in and give you a briefing of the consolidated business results for FY2019 second quarter. But before we get into that, this fall, our home prefecture, Chiba, as well as many other areas in Japan, was severely impacted by typhoons and torrential rains, natural disasters. So we just wanted to take this opportunity to express our heartfelt sympathy and deepest condolences to everyone who has been affected. To be of service as much as possible to areas afflicted, we have undertaken numerous activities to help these areas. So let me briefly introduce our activities at this time. So typhoon number 15, Fasai, which landed in the Kanto area on September 9th, mainly affected the Chiba region. So following the disaster, we launched the Chiba Disaster Relief Project from September 15th to the 20th. So we sold our original T-shirts, Let's Start Today, on ZOZO Town. The T-shirts were 2,020 yen each, and we donated 100% of the proceeds from these T-shirts, as well as 1% of our sales during the aforementioned period, amounting to a total of 70.5 million yen, which was donated to Chiba Prefecture. Another activity, as you can see, all of us are wearing the metal badges. To help afflicted areas after Typhoon 19 Hagibis, we created ZOZO Championship Disaster Relief Charity Medal Badges and sold them from October 24th. So ZOZO Championship, the golf tournament, also started on the 24th as well. And we sold these badges at the championship as well and on ZOZO Town. They were sold for 500 yen each, and 100% of the proceeds will be donated to afflicted areas. These badges, we sold, this was worn by all the players at the ZOZO Championship as well. And many visitors, spectators, also purchased the badges during the tournament, at the tournament as well. So we will continue our efforts to help afflicted areas across Japan going forward as well. Now we would like to give you an overview of our FY2019 second quarter results. So the gross merchandise value for this period was page 3 and 4 of your document. The GMV was up by 11.8% year-on-year, landing at 157.9 billion. The OP was up by 31.8% year on year, landing at 13.2 billion. The OPM was 8.4%, up by 1.3%. Both the GMV and the operating profit are performing well against our fiscal year targets. Now, we would like to give you an overview of the business results on page 10. So the increase-decrease analysis of the operating profit. So the operating profit went up by 3.2 billion from 10.5 to 13.2 billion. The OP went up due to 5 reasons mainly. So the increase in sales from consignment shop commissions contributed to 2.48 billion. And in the third quarter of last year, the ad business kicked into full gear, and this added to 0.86 billion. And other factors accounted to 0.09 billion. And we also are not distributing as many ZOZO suits, so this contributed to 2.6 billion. And the other decrease in other expenses amounted to 0.2 billion. Now, the operating profit decreased due to the increase in fixed costs, namely logistics centers, which accounted to 0.88 billion. And also variable costs increased by 2.1 billion. So these negatively impacted the operating profit. So the variable and fixed costs, please refer to the document for details regarding those two costs. Now on page 11, this is the consolidated balance sheet. This as well, there's no major change, so I would like to skip this page if you could just look at it on during your free time. On page 12, you'll see the changes in cash flow. The cash flow from operating activities, the decrease in expenditures related to the private brand business, positively impacted the cash flow from operating activities. And also cash flows from investing activities due to the construction of the new office and logistics center. This has added to the cost in terms of investments. So investments has grown. Now on page 15, this is the quarterly change in the gross merchandise value. So the second quarter, this fiscal year, the GMV was 78.6 billion, up by 11.1% year on year. So we also started the MSP business this quarter as well. Now, giving you a breakdown, the consignment business contributed to 72.9 billion, up by 12.6%. The purchase stock was 0.03 billion, down by 22.3%. ZOZO use was 3.49 billion, down by 3.1%. The PB business was 0.23 billion, down by 56.1%. The MSP business is a new business, and it was 0.03 billion. And B2B business was 1.93 billion, up by 3.9%. So that is results for the GMV. Next, on page 20, you'll find the quarterly changes in the operating profit. The OP for this quarter was up by 30.8%, landing at 5.4 billion. The OPM was 6.9%. So compared to the previous year, same quarter, it has improved by 1%. And that is related to this, but the SG&A quarterly changes on page 21. So the second quarter, the SG&A was 20.6 billion. Against the merchandise GMV, it was 26.3%, which is down by 2.7% over points year on year.
商品取扱高の商品取扱高比にのプロモーション関連比率
The promotion cost against the GMV was 2.5%.
で従前からですね、
As we have
予算上
mentioned
この期は
before,
対
from the
商品取
beginning of the
扱高
fiscal
比
year,
で 2.9%
the
のプロモーション
promotion
関連
cost
比
for
を
this
予算
fiscal
として
year
ご
will
ざ
be
いま
set
す。
at 2.9%
いうお
against
話
the
をしてい
GMV.
たと思います。で、当社負担のですね、
So
値引き、施策などを行った場合はですね、
when ZOZO
こちら
conducts
は
discount
外
campaigns
注
out
の
of our own
販管費
pocket,
とし
this
たらです
fee
ね、
is not
これ
recorded
あ
as SG&A.
これをいつもご説明させていただいているところで
This
す
is the
ので、
same explanation we give
こちらを
every
計上せずに、
time,
売上高から控除をすると
but
いう
that
会計
is
処理
also
を
taken
してお
out
り
of
ます。
the sales.
した
That's
がっ
how we
て、
treat
その値引
the
き額を実質プロモーショ
discounts.
ンの額として我々内部管理上はですね、プロモーション
So
関
for
連
internal
費という形
purposes,
で、
internal management
考
purposes,
え
we
てい
treat
ます。
the
それが
discounted
現状
amount
はですね、
as
2.9% プロモーション
PR
関連費を
expenses. So
予算として
2.9% is the promotion
しており
budget,
ますけれ
as
ども、その
we
内
have
訳として
mentioned
は、
before,
プロ
but
モー
that
ション
the
関連費
breakdown
と
of
してい
that
るも
is
のプラス、
the breakdown of that is the
売上
promotion
高から引いてい
expenses,
る値引き分ですね。
and
この値
also
引き
the
分も
discounted
そのプロモーション
amount
コストと見立てて
is also
いうふうに
included in the
いうお話
2.9%.
でございます。で、したがって、この当第2四半期に関してお話ししますと、
And with respect to the
会員
second
向けのパーソ
quarter,
ナ
we
ライズの値
actively
引き施
conducted
策を
personalized
講じてい
campaigns
ただ
for
きました。
members.
その結果ですね、販管費として計上
So
されてい
although the
る
PR
累計
expenses
プロモーション関連費
recorded
は商
as
品取扱高比
SG&A
では 1.9%
was
ですけれども、
1.9% against the
実質的には
GMV,
計
the
画内容
actual
に規模を
PR
動かしている。
expenses was
つま
close to the
り、
PR expenses budgeted for
1.9% 以上高い
the
数字を
entire fiscal year. So it's more than 1.9% is basically what we're trying to say.
続きまして、
And on
19ペー
page
ジですね。
19,
資料の19ページになります。ちょっと戻る形になります。
so it's going back a few pages. Apologies for
販
that.
管費の内訳になります。
The breakdown of the
緊
SG&A.
急の累計の販管
So the
費の
second quarter
累計になります
SG&A total.
累計の商品取扱高比の販管費ですけれども、こちらは
So the
24.8%。
against the GMV was 24.8%. So year on year it was down by 2.8%. The reason why the percentage against the GMV has come down, there are 4 key reasons. One is the impact from change in bonus payment policy, but that has normalized within this quarter. So the payroll for employees came down by 0.4%. Second reason is that since we're not distributing ZOZO suits as much, the shipping and packaging costs have come down by 0.2%. Last fiscal year, we spent a lot of costs distributing ZOZO suits, and that was considered advertising or PR costs. But this has come down by 2.5% this quarter. And we also have high one-off expenses in the previous fiscal year, but we don't have that anymore, which contributed to 0.4%. And there are a few reasons why this SG&A have come up as well. One is the decrease in the average retail price, and also the increase in logistics centers have pushed the payroll logistic-related expenses up by 0.2%, and more rewards have been given away, which pushed SG&A up by 0.5%, and rent has increased because of the logistics center increase, and this went up by 0.3%. Next, I would like to give you an overview of the KPIs for ZOZO. So starting with the annual number of buyers, it increased by 100,000 compared to the previous quarter, landing at 8.22 million. 190,000 increase in active members, landing at 6.74 million, and guest buyers. So this is compared to the previous quarter, but the guest buyers came down by 90,000, landing at 1.47 million. The guest buyers are continuing to come down, but the active members are growing faster than the decrease in guest buyers. In order to get more people to become active members, we have conducted personalized campaigns utilizing each member's purchase histories.
これによって年間購入者数というものが
So
増加
we
した
have
ということに
seen
なっております。
an increase in annual buyers due to these campaigns.
続きましてお手元の資料の24
Next, on page 24, the number of shops.
第2四半期
As of the end of the second quarter, we had 1,312 shops.
プラスの15ショップ
This is a increase of 15 shops in comparison to the previous quarter. We are planning to add 100 to 150 shops this fiscal year, which I mentioned at the beginning of the year. But as of the end of the second quarter, we've added a total of 116 shops to date. So we have been able to add shops steadily. In the second quarter, we saw Macintosh, which is a British outerwear brand, and also Burton, a snowboard brand, and also large-scale shoe brand, Shoe Plaza, run by Chiyoda. So 48 shops have opened on ZOZO this quarter. Next, on page 26, this is the annual purchase amount and pieces per active member. So purchase amount was 47,506 yen, and pieces were 11.6. So the purchase amount have gone up by 572 yen, and items have increased by 0.3. So in comparison to the previous quarter, both of these KPIs have increased. The reason why it has come up slightly is that so this is a little bit ironic, but we have actually slowed down in terms of acquiring new members. So we're actually seeing more active members, actually a more ratio of active members, which is pushing the average up because new members' annual purchase amount, this is the first year, so it's not as high. So if the ratio of new members and their purchase amount comes down, then the overall average tends to come up. So and we also talk about the annual purchase amount and pieces per existing active members, which is on page 27, and we tend to see the reverse impact, but this is for existing members who have been members for more than 1 year. So this was 54,750 yen, and they purchased 13.4 items. So the purchase amount came down by 299 yen, and purchase items came up by 0.1. This reason, as we've explained in the past, is because we're seeing more members who have not been members for that long. Maybe they've been members 2-3 years. So, and these members tend to purchase less than members who have been members for a very long time. So, and the factors are the same. But as we mentioned before, in comparison to the past, the new members, actually, we're seeing less and less members joining right now. The speed is slowing down, so this should be bottoming out. These two figures should be bottoming out soon. On page 29, you see the average retail price. Average retail price was 3,463 year on year. It came down by 5.2%. From October 1st, the consumption tax rates changed, and so before the tax hike, we had a sales event. So that is why the ARP, average retail price, has come down due to the discount period. But we conducted a 10-day sales event at ZOZO Week before the tax hike. Now, the average order value on page 30. The average order value was 7,416 yen, down by 4.6% year on year. This as well has been mainly impacted by the decrease in average retail price And the items have come up slightly, but the average order value has come down.
はい、お手元の32ページの今
And on
期計
page
画は
32,
時
you'll
折
see the
変わ
business
ってはいないん
forecast,
ですけ
but
ど、
we do
一応
not, this has not changed. So this is still the target that we have in mind.
私からは以上になります。
That's it
それ
from
では
myself.
代理取締役社長の
From
澤田よりお
now,
話
we
しさ
would
せてい
like
ただきます。
the president and CEO Sawada to take the floor.
皆さん、こんにちは。
Good afternoon,
私
ladies and
は
gentlemen.
ですね、あまり決算説明会の場ではちょこちょこ
I
顔を出させていただいてはいたんですけれども、
have been to
このような
these
形で
briefing
皆様
sessions
とまたお会い
sometimes,
できたことを非常
but
に嬉しく思い
I'm
ます。
very happy that I'm here
はい、本日
again
はよろしくお
to
願いいた
meet
し
you
ま
all.
す。
Thank you very much for your time today.
でまず
First of all,
まず皆さん一番気になっていることって
I
何か
think
なとお
what
話しし
you
ない
may
で
be
考えるんです
most concerned
けど、
about
まず最初
is
はこういうお
probably
話を差し上げようかなと
who
思いまして、
is Kotaro Sawada. So this is where I would like to begin. So of course, the
人だったこともあり、
former president was very charismatic, so
発言を聞くことが
you
多くあっ
might
たんですけれど
be,
も、
I
この
I
場
have
をお
heard
借りしま
often
して
who is
ち
taking
ょっと自己
over.
紹介をさせてい
So
ただき
today I would like to begin by introducing myself briefly.
はい、ここに書いてある通りでは
As you can see here,
1970年
I was born in 1970,
前澤より
so
年が
I'm
上なので
a little bit older
上
than
に上がったっていうのはちょっと恥ずかしい
Mr. Maizawa. So unfortunately, the company's
横浜生まれ横浜育ちの
leadership hasn't become
横
younger.
浜生まれが
And I was raised in Yokohama as well. Now, me being born in Yokohama doesn't have anything to do with share prices, but I just wanted to let you know. And my hobby is watching baseball. And of course, I do go to ZOZO Marine Stadium quite often. Last week, also, I went to the ZOZO Championship, as you may be aware.
英語で日本語で
And many people ask me why I don't play golf in English and Japanese as well.
今後ここに
So
ゴルフという一行を追
I
加す
also
る
would like
ように
to add golf here as one of my hobbies next year.
はい。そして私の経歴なんですけれども、
And in terms of my career, I joined NTT Data Corporation straight out of college, and then I was working in two consulting firms afterwards. And in 2008, I joined Start Today Consulting Corporation as the representative director. And that's when I first became involved with Start Today. The Start Today Consulting Corporation was the first 100% subsidiary for Start Today. And what we were doing then is that current B2B business, actually. So we help brands operate their own EC, and we help with their fulfillment. So this is a business that we launched at that time.
で、この B2B 事業を
And the B2B business, we started from scratch.
私が今ここに立っているということのすごく大きな理由にはなって
And this is one of the key reasons why I'm standing here today. By helping brands run their own EC sites and providing fulfillment, it's like launching mini ZOZO towns. So that's my experience, and that's how I felt at the time. So having run apparel EC sites, there's a lot of small operations, and everything is linked, and from logistics to IT, front end customer service, all of that is included within the brand's EC sites as well. And I helped launch 17 sites. So I learned fashion EC from end to end, and I understand it very well from end to end. So it was a very good experience for myself. And this subsidiary, when it first launched, it was a subsidiary, but afterwards, there wasn't really a reason for it to be a standalone company, a subsidiary. So, and it was better for that company to become part of the headquarters. So in 2013, the company became part of the Start Today. And then at that time, I became the director of the parent company. So since I have experience and understood the fashion e-commerce so end to end, they treated me like a joker.
見ようみたいな時に私がそうする
So when they wanted to try something new, they would
そういう
include
部分
me
が
in the
理解する
discussions,
と、ちょっともっと工場の
maybe not just business
こう
development, but
現場感がある
strategic
と思うんです
planning,
けれど
but
も、そういう
more
ところを
hands-on
理
as
解して
well.
おります。
I was
そして、
involved in many
マーケティングの
projects.
ところを、
And
ここ
after
数年しっかり見
experiencing
て
the
いただいてい
marketing
ただい
division
て、
for a couple of years,
その後この6月ですね、
in
に
June of
ゾゾ
this
タウン
year,
の事業統括という形
I
でやらせていただいて、今度
began managing the entire
そういった
ZOZO
経緯という
business. So that is my career path.
はい、続きまして、まだこの代表
Then
交代してからですね、新体制になってから、
moving on, it's only been a month or so since the leadership changed,
全く180
but
度違うことをやるかというとそうでもありませんので、
we're not going to change our direction 180 degrees.
細かいところの戦略性について
So
は
of course, in terms of the strategy going forward, we still would like some time to work out the details. But having said that, since you're all here today, I would like to share as much as possible the direction in which we are heading in the future.
話をさせていただければと思います。はい、ここに書いてある通りではあるんですけれども、
As you can see here,
ストラテジー、戦略面で
in terms of the strategy and process, business processes, and 3 is resources, and the 4th point is organization. So there are 4 key areas that we will be addressing. And first of all, starting with strategy,
今回、ヤフーさんとの業務提携
we will be working with Yahoo.
進みますので、
So our business partnership with Yahoo will help us expand our market share, and we would like to accelerate our efforts in this regard.
それ以外にもいろいろ考えることはあ
And
る
of
んです
course, there's other things that we will be addressing, but this is where we would like to start.
で、その時にですね、
And when we do so,
じゃあ ZOZO タウンどうなるんだというの
what will
が、
happen with
ブラン
ZOZO
ドさ
Town
んですとか、もちろん投資家
is
さ
a
んですとか、
concern that brands and also our shareholders, investors have asked us. But ZOZO Town will continue to be operated as it has been operated before. And of course, we are discussing how we can make it more and more fashionable. But with respect to Yahoo, I will explain this later, but we want to work together in terms of new domains.
すみません、Z ホールディングスと書いてます。私もちょっと全然まだ言い慣れない。
So Z Holdings, I'm not really familiar with it yet, but Z Holdings means Yahoo.
その主な戦略がある中で、
So that's the overall strategy. And in terms of the operational processes,
ここは今までの ZOZO の強みというものを
the strength of ZOZO in the past, we will continue to respect that. And our strength has been DIY, the DIY spirit. Most of the operations and processes we created ourselves and operated ourselves. That has helped us improve quality, and we believe that our processes can be a role model for other EC. And this experience and know-how is something that you can't purchase. So doing things ourselves is very a competitive advantage. That's what we learned from our success. So that's something that we will continue to do. And also, being able to act very quickly is going to be important. So we need to ensure that we're making decisions quickly in order to create our own processes and systems. So that's something that we always tell our employees as well. The third point is about resources. So when you think about human resources, what we take pride in is that we have the most number of fashion-loving employees in Japan, and they understand how the customers feel. And this is a really big strength. So we want to continue to utilize our employees' insight
サー
And
ビスですと
so
か、
we
そういうと
hope
ころに
to
どんどん生か
reflect
し
the
て、
insights into how the
そういう結
website
果
is
するにはそういう
designed
ところをやっていこうかと思ってます。
and many other
そして
areas as
先ほど
well.
の内製化というところにちょっと絡んで
And
くると思うんですけれど
it's
も、我々今
actually
持っている
related
すごく大きな
to
財
the
産として
DIY
は、ファッショ
spirit,
ン
but
関
one
連
of
データ
the
なんですね。
assets that we have
で、
is
ご
the
存知のように、
fashion
ファッショ
related
ンの、
data. As you know,
データというのは意外とこうまとまっていないと。各社さん
fashion
でいろ
data
んなとこ
is
ろ
all
を
over the
設計
place,
管理しているところがありま
and
すの
many
で、
companies are
影
trying
の
to
ところ
track their
に調べ
data,
とかが
but it's
機
not
会があ
really,
るんですけれ
there's
ども、
not a
そうい
big
ったものを一
database
元
for
管理で
that.
きるデー
So,
タで一元管理している、
but
データを持っているというのは非常に強み
luckily,
でござい
we
ま
can
すし、あ
centrally
とは
manage
ウェアのサー
this
ビス、
a large
順
volume
調
of
に今
fashion
拡
related
大して
data.
おりますけれども、
And the
これが
wear
始まるとコー
service
ディ
is
ネートデー
also
タ、
continuing to grow,
そこ
but we
に、
have a
いろ
lot
んな
of
多重
styling
の名
data
前を
as
付けて
well,
ですね、
and there's a
こう
lot of
分類したりし
tags,
て、簡単に検索できるよう
and
な
it
デー
can
タ、
be it's
まだまだその使い
categorized
方
and
です
easy
ね、い
to
ろいろ眠ってお
search.
りま
There's
す
a
の
lot of
で、そういっ
data
た
that
も
we
のを、
have that hasn't been
非常に
utilized yet.
強
There's
み
a
に
lot
し
of
ながらや
potential,
っていくと、
so
い
that is
うとこ
going
ろ
to
では本
be
日
a
は持っており
forte
ます。
that we can continue
はい。
to
ここまでは
exploit.
ちょっと2番、3番は強みを生かすという話なん
So
ですけれど
the
も、こ
second
の
and
先
third
が見
point
てみたい
is
と
how
思い
we
ます。
take
将来は
advantage
どう
of
な
our
るのか。
strength, and fourth
そ
point
してで
is
すね、
actually how we
それ
need
に
to
関してはもう
change.
皆さんご存知のように、
So
トップダウン制を
organization-wise,
ずっと遂げ
we've
続け
done
てき
the
ている会社で
top-down
はございますので、
management
それ
since
を
we
しっかり
first
組織型
launched.
に移行していくというのが
So we
我
want to
々の
make
ビジョン
sure
でご
that
ざいます。
it's more
で、社員が主役というスローガン
it
をです
becomes a
ね、
more
9月
organization.
交
So
代の後にですね、掲げ
after
させていただい
September, when
て、
we changed leadership, we
それ
said
を
the
も
employees
っと
are
浸透
leading
させる
players
ために
as
で
a
すね、
slogan.
人事の制
And
度
to
です
make
と
sure
か、
that
そういっ
this
たところ
becomes
を
more
今どうやって
widespread,
やっていこうかとい
we're
うのを
trying
今議
to
論
we're
させて
having
いただいており
discussions
ま
as
す。
to how we can change HR and other areas of our
はい、
organization.
その具体的なところまでは触れないまでも、我
So
々経営
although
経
we
営陣は
can't
ですね、
we haven't
この
gone
先にいくと
into
ころを
detail,
ポイントとして考
I
えてや
think
っていこうかと。
I hope
そういっ
this
たとこ
gave
ろ
you a
を
better
説明
idea
できれ
of
ばと
how
思いま
our
す。
management team, our management team is thinking about right now.
はい、それではですね、Z ホールディングス社とのですね、による当社株式の公開買い付けについて
Next, moving on to the
の
tender
概
offer
要
for ZOZO shares by
を
Z
ご
Holdings
説明させていただ
Corporation.
きたいと思います。はい、これまさしくもこちらに書いてある通りではあります。公開買い付けの期間としては
As you can see here, the tender offer period will begin on it began on September 30th, and it will end at the end of 30 business days, November 13th, 2019. The shareholding ratio, the minimum will be 33.4%, maximum 50.1%. The tender offer price per share is 2,620 yen. And Mr. Maizawa is planning held 36.8% shares at before, but now he's planning to tender 30.4%. So this, as of the November 13th, this is how the shareholding should look like. This is something that you may know because we've announced it at our press announcement as well. And in terms of capital,
いうところではありますけれども、じゃあ実際に業務のところ、サービスの業務提携
that was our capital, but what about business alliance?
ところをご説明したいと思います。
So that's something that I would like to explain now.
はい、
In terms of the
もの
alliance,
すごくこういろんな範囲でいろんなことができるから、
there's a lot of different things that we can do in a lot of different areas.
ホールディングスさんの皆さんともいろいろ
And so this is something that we have been discussing with Z Holdings, but we think that these are the low-bearing fruit, and this is something that we should be working on right away. So please just bear in mind that this is where we will be starting. First,
もうすでにペイペイモールオープンはしております。
PayPay Mall is already open, but starting tomorrow,
いう話は実際も公表されています。
they have announced that they'll be promoting the service starting tomorrow.
協力するビジネス
And Z Holdings is a very important business for them as well. And ZOZO Town will open its store in the PayPay Mall. So that's the first
皆様の目に触れるところに
alliance, visible alliance, that we will be working on.
12月中に
It
は
will be sometime in December.
できると今のところ
We
考えております。
are thinking of opening our store in PayPay Mall sometime in
ここに
December.
関しては、現状 ZOZO タウンに出店していただいているブランドさんに
So the brands that are already on ZOZO Town,
出店しませんかと
we are asking them if they're interested in also joining PayPay. If the brands say that they don't want to join, that's fine. They can continue to just remain on ZOZOTOWN. So it's up to them. So the brands will have a choice as to whether they also want to join PayPay or not. The brands so far have responded positively. So, and because one of the key reasons why they're open to it is because it's very easy. As long as if they're on ZOZOTOWN already, we will just feed the data to PayPay, so it's very easy for them to join PayPay.
で、ちょっと詳しくはお伝えできないんですけれども、
So we can't really go into
ブランさんに例
details,
外する
but
手数料というところ
the
に関して
commission as well
も、
for
あ
the
まり、ブ
brands,
ランさんとしては気にならない、ような形になっております。
the
で、そういった
brands
ところ
is
を踏
not a
まえ
big
まして、
concern for them.
かなり出店の
So bearing all of that in
うまく
mind,
いっていると
ourselves, in
いう
terms
状況
of
だけはお伝え
brands joining
したい
PayPay,
と思ってい
it's
ます。
going well.
はい。で、多分その出店だけじゃなくてですね、
And
ファ
not
ッション
just
カテゴリーということに
joining
関して、
PayPay, but in
いろい
terms of
ろ、
fashion
ゾ
category,
ウさんから意見をくださいというのを Z ホールディングスさんからかなり
Z
いただいており
Holdings
ます
is
の
actually
で、単な
asking
る出店
us
して終わり、は
for
い、売上いくらという世界ではなくて、
feedback or
まあ、
know-how
連日詳し
sharing.
くなる予
So
定ではありますけれ
since
ど
we
も、そ
will
の中
become their
は、
consolidated
優位
subsidiary,
性というかですね、メリッ
we
トが
want
生かされ
to
て、かなり、
make sure that there's a
利益
benefit
が上がる
for
ように
us
しながら
joining
いけ
their
る体
group.
制になっております。
So we actually have
はい、
are able
続
to
き
have
まし
frank
て、2点目は
open
ゾゾタウンの決済
discussions
サービス、ペイペイ
about
の
what
導入に
benefits,
なります。で、
potential
まあ、ペイ
benefits
ペイ
there
の
are.
導入直後、
Another
いろいろ、
alliance is adding
まあ、聞かせてい
PayPay
ただ
as a
くと、
payment
かなり
option
良い
to
関係だなと
ZOZOTOWN.
思っております。
It
で、
is gaining
ま
momentum,
あ、メディア等でもじゃあ誰が勝つんだみたいな話がす
and
ご
the
く
media is talking about which payment service will win
賑
after
わ
all.
コンテンツとしては賑わっておりますけれども、我々としてもすごくペイペイという
But
決済手段に対して
for us as well, we have high expectations for PayPay as a payment method.
で、ここに関してはまだその決済周りというのは意外とですね、システム
In
開発
terms
等
of
々
payment
なかなか難しい部分
options,
が
adding payment
テスト
options,
かな
it
り年齢
does
がな
require
ので、ちょっと
some
まだ
system
手に関して
development
は
and
取り入れないと
testing.
いう話
So
ではないかなということで
we don't think that we can add this within the end of the year, but we hope to add it as soon as
はい、3点目、
we
現在
can.
ゾタウンの
The
一般
third
手続き
point,
運営というのは先ほど申し上
as
げ
we
ま
already
した
mentioned, ZOZOTOWN will continue
まあ、
to
結
be
構気に
operated.
されているのは、例えばヤフーさん
Some people may be
から
concerned
ホールディングスさんの色にゾゾタウンが染まってしまうん
that
じゃないか
ZOZOTOWN
こういう
will
形でどんどん安
become
値差別に
like
されちゃうんじゃないか
Z Holdings, where we're just
そ
offering
こは
discount
一
products,
切な
but
いね
that's not true at all.
まあ Z ホールディングスさんの方からも、とにかく
Z Holding as well, they want ZOZOTOWN to be still remain a cool place, and they want us to continue to make decisions autonomously to operate our service.
そこはもうご心配なさらず
So please rest assured that ZOZOTOWN will continue to operate its service, its own service. So autonomy is very important. So of course there were issues with ESCO, but there were learnings from that. So Z Holdings have learned from their experience with ESCO, and of course we will continue to remain a public company, so we will continue to have our own autonomy. In terms of benefits, I've already mentioned this, but from Z Holdings' point of view, they can strengthen their fashion e-commerce business, and they can introduce PayPay to ZOZOTOWN and accelerate PayPay's penetration. And we didn't mention this earlier, but user traffic from Z Holdings and SoftBank Group to ZOZOTOWN is something that we hope, we expect. As you may know, as you know, 20s, 30s, and women are our key customers. But Yahoo, the website, that is for men in their 30s, 40s, and in terms of gender ratio, they have more male customers. So if you add the two, then we actually fill each other's gap, so complement each other. So we hope that traffic will be directed towards ZOZO Town.
どのような形でやるかっていうのは
And
すごく
how
ロジカルな話ではあるんです。かなり細かい話ではある。
we intend to do that, we're actually discussing logically, and also there's a lot of fine tuning involved, but we're doing that right now. But if you go to Yahoo's top page on the far left corner, starting yesterday, it started yesterday, but the ZOZOTOWN icon's already shown on the Yahoo top page. So the easy implementation has already been undertaken. But what's difficult is the search. So we need to still work on the logic for that. Next,
ホールディングス社さんとの業務提携、資本業務提携を終えた後のガバナンス体制についての説明になります。
the business alliance with Z Holdings starts. The governance structure in the future will include 2 directors who will be seconded from Z Holdings. So at the special general meetings of shareholders in January 2020, 1 director will join, and in June 2020, another director will join. And in case Z Holdings Corporation will make a shareholder proposal, it will require prior consultation with ZOZO. And sorry, we're running out of time, so I would like to quicken the pace. So that's basically the partnership with Z Holdings. And this is what I wanted to talk to you about today, but I just will be brief. I'm sure many of you saw this on TV, but it was a huge success. A lot of our customers are super happy. I think that this is one of the most successful tournaments, and I think the media there was a lot of media coverage as well, so it was a huge success, and it was a very dramatic championship as well, so we were very lucky as well. So advance tickets were sold out. A number of visitors was impacted by the rain, but we saw 55,000 spectators, and Tiger Woods, of course, had a great start and continued to have a great round and won. So we really appreciate Tiger Woods for his efforts, and it was a very successful tournament. So these are sub-sponsors. So we had a lot of participation as well. And then the MSP business, multi-size platform is a concept. On September 6th, we started taking pre-orders for some brands. So we had 83 items total. So men's 34 items, women's 49 items. And so a lot of the sales figures, because it's pre-orders, some will be delivered in October as well. So not all of the sales has been reflected in the second quarter, but these brands have participated in our MSP concept. And so they gave us a license to use their brand name and design products for us as well. Do you remember what the MSP is about? It's you enter your gender, age, your height and weight, then we will guess your size, the optimal size for you. That's the service, basically. So what's happening now is that there's still some trial and error that needs to be done, but There has been some products that have performed very well from the beginning. For example, Slobiana side pocket skirt, for example, has
この
done very well.
上
As
よりもちょっと
women
微妙です
would
ね。
know that
これが
midi
やっぱり
skirts,
身長
the
が
length
広
is
くて
very
短く
important.
長くなるとこのシューズ
And
が
if
出
it's
ない
too long or
といっ
too
たところ
short,
もありま
depending
す
on
の
your
で、そういった
height or weight,
微妙なところに
thus it's
マル
not
チサイ
no
ズ
longer
の
becomes a
形に
midi
したりという
skirt.
ところがあっ
So
て、
I
も
think
ちろん商品力が絶
multi-size,
対あるん
the
ですね。
concept
そもそ
fit
も
very well
そ
with
もそも
the
の商
midi
品力プラ
skirts.
スそのマルチサイズとい
So
う
of
安心
course
感
the
というのが重なれば
product
そういう
has
ふう
to
に上がるの
be
かなというの
a
は見ていただ
well-designed
いて
product to start with, but the multi-size concept fit very well, particularly with this item.
はい、続きまして、ZOZO マットですね。
Next, moving on to ZOZO
こ
mat.
のように
As
このような形で、足のサイズが測れますよという
so you can measure your feet size. We've already shown a demo before.
今回はですね、こんな形に、で買えそうですというデモを
We just wanted to give you a demonstration of how you would be able to purchase products based on this.
はい、これは測定した後の
So this is after measurements have been taken.
はい。で、ごめんなさい、ちょっと一個戻しておきます。これが、実際足型を測定すると、足の
So
幅
once you
から
measure
甲
feet,
から
the
いろんなところ
width,
が
the
実際あな
height,
たのサイズはこんな形で
you'll see that your feet size
で、ただ
measured
まあ
in
これだけ
different
見ると
from different angles, and you might just say yes, so, but we wanted to add something that's interesting. So this is we thought that this might be interesting for you. So it's standard, or your feet is a Greek style, for example. So different features of your characteristics of your feet. So we added some interesting content. And we don't want to just stop there. So the objective of this is for you to buy shoes that fit you well. So if you look at the match or the accuracy in terms of the sizing, you can see that it's 93% or 95%. So that's a UI that we're planning to offer. And this is the search results. So if it was a Adidas Campus shoes, you click on one, and you will see that your size is 26 centimeters. It's not just about the length of your feet, your height, and so we can recommend the optimal size for the user. The accuracy is it's pretty accurate and pretty precise. And what about matching? How do we measure the accuracy in terms of how the sizes fit? And we've already decided on the direction, and we're actually trying to improve the accuracy right now, and we can't really go into details at the moment. But right now we're working on improving accuracy, and we're almost there. And we've started taking pre-orders already. And we believe that we will be able to launch this service, and people will be able to purchase products based on that starting this winter. Other than that, we're running out of time, but our China business we're working on. So a little bit less than 300 brands have raised their hand. So it will be remotely. The products will be sent from Japan. So there will be no inventory held in China, and FBC as well. We have welcomed a large brand for our fulfillment by ZOZO business as well. So sorry I took a lot of your time, but that's it from myself. So we will finish the live streaming of the briefing session.